So we have Ryan Sirk, who is the owner and creator of House of Phoenix Suns on Instagram, an account that has around 14,000 followers right now and is growing, it seems like, by the day. Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I try and get at least a little bit every day and
That's pretty
hopefully not lose any along the way. So
sick. So when and why did you start House of Phoenix Suns?
so I actually started House of Phoenix Suns, I think it was 3 years ago. It was actually I was bored one summer and my girlfriend was just like, "Oh, you should do something with basketball. You really like the Suns." And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah, I want to start an Instagram page. I just don't know what." And she was like, "Oh yeah, do the Phoenix Suns. Like it would be a good idea." So I started it and I was just like, "Oh, this is like nobody really cares. I have 20 followers. Like I don't know why I'm doing it." So then I stopped for like a month and I was like, okay, like I should do it. Like some people were commenting, so I felt bad for not posting.
Yeah.
And so I got back into it and I've been posting every day since, and it just kind of grew from that. It just went with it. And I've learned stuff along the way. I've improved definitely. Like I sometimes I go through my page, I go all the way down and I look at the first posts and they're terrible compared to what I'm
So,
posting now. So it's a good learning experience that I've done.
so are you like wanting to be a Phoenix Suns insider, or
That's
what?
pretty
Is
much what I
that
do.
what
Yeah.
your goal is wanting to be? Kind of be
Yeah.
what Shams and Woj are kind of doing right
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. That
So, when did you become a Suns fan? How old were you?
I pretty much grew up liking the Suns. I lived in Phoenix, not Phoenix, Arizona area. So
Hmm.
I really like basketball. I never really could play it very well. I wasn't very good. I'm not athletically built for basketball. So at least I enjoy watching it and everything. The guy that really got me into it was Steve Nash, obviously, because he looked like me, small, not 7 foot tall. So I kind of could relate to him, like, oh yeah, I could be in the NBA, which obviously
Yeah.
didn't turn out to be the case, but it was nice to see not Chris Paul. I don't know why I'm thinking about Chris Paul, but yeah, Steve Nash was the one who got me into basketball.
When was your first? When did you go to your first game at Talking Stick?
Ooh,
Or what? It wasn't Talking Stick when it
no,
first. Wasn't it like
it
American
wasn't. It
Airlines
wasn't.
or
It
something?
was, yeah, American Airlines Center. I don't remember when that was.
Over a decade ago.
Yeah,
It's gotta
I'm
be.
getting too old for that now to
So
remember.
I'm from Vancouver, which is where Steve Nash grew up. Like he
Oh,
was the guy
awesome.
to get me into basketball too growing up. Cause I'm like, man, I'm like a average sized white guy who
Yeah,
can
exactly.
pass the ball pretty well. I think I can make it.
Yeah.
Um, so you want to become the social media or an insider for Phoenix Suns. So are you doing all of your graphics
Yeah,
by
I pretty much
yourself on
I
all your
make
posts?
most of pretty much most of the stuff I make. Like I make my own jersey swaps. I have a friend that helps me make like some cool videos and stuff like that. But for the most part, I would say 95% of all the posts I make are my own.
So have the Suns reached out to you at all?
Unfortunately, not. I've been the one reaching out to
Reaching out
them.
to them, same.
Yeah, asking them stuff, and nothing's come of it. I tried to get an internship this summer, but COVID pretty much canceled any of those
Yeah.
plans. So I'm
So
just kind of going with it right now. Just trying to graduate college and then see what opens up then.
yeah. So what kind of led you into this career path out
I,
at? Like,
I
do you know what
it's
I mean? Because like you
yeah,
see
it's weird
Woj and
because
Shams and people like that get into it. So who was like that person, or what kind of got you to get that interest in the media
yeah.
world? Because I want to be a broadcaster one day in sports.
Mhm.
So I kind of
Yes.
feel the same way you do. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, it's hard to get into it, I feel. So I've asked people for advice and they just say, yeah, you just gotta get experience. But how do you get experience? I don't really know. But
Exactly.
what really started was like I think it was fifth or sixth grade. I took a media class, and so we would present like the news and stuff to the school, and we'd have to like make the videos, make the audio and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
really cool. So I wanted to be like a news reporter, but then I was just like, I don't really like the news a whole lot. I don't watch the news. So like, what can I focus on more that I want to do myself? And that was sports. So like I looked more into it. I was like, oh, these are like actual, like you
Careers.
can be in sports journalism and stuff like that. So I was like, and then watching like Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I'm like, I want to do what they do. That'd be the best job ever. You just talk
I
about
know,
sports
right?
for a living.
It's
So
only you
that's
work in the morning too. You got the afternoons off. You don't have to worry
yeah,
about anything else.
exactly. And then you work for like 3 hours a day and you're done. So
So,
that's really what I was looking at, was like Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman kind of thing.
so I kept coming down here for spring breaks and stuff. And my grandfather was a season ticket holder this past like decade. So I was able to go to a ton of games. I got to see like Brooklyn play when they first came, and I got to see the Hornets when they had Chris Paul.
That's
So
cool.
I want to hear your opinion on this. When you go from having like Brandon Knight and Bledsoe and Isaiah Thomas, Goran Dragic, then we don't really have a point guard for a few years, and then we get Ricky last year, and now Chris Paul. What does this team have to do, in your opinion, to maybe make that growth like everyone on ESPN keeps talking about?
I mean, I think it's just gonna, like, we have the pieces now. So like I think it was 2 years ago. I remember like we had Isaiah Cannon starting at point guard.
Yeah,
He's no
Mike
longer.
James.
So it's like we went from that to 2 years from then to having a Hall of Fame point guard. So it's a big jump, especially for the guys who were around at that time, which is pretty much just Devin Booker.
Yeah.
So he like Devin Booker is the one that's going to benefit the most from this, and I think it's just really exciting for us because we've just been tanking and we're just like, who cares? Like, we're terrible. And then this 3-0-3 start so far in preseason, no one's believing because this happens all the time, and it's just like, oh, we get our hopes up and then nothing happens. But
yeah,
it's different. Like, we have pieces.
It's preseason too. It'd be different if you guys are like 0-5 at the start of the season. I know. I think they're gonna beat Dallas on opening night. I really think so.
I think so too. I think like we have like 6 or 7 new players, so it's gonna take time to understand each other. Like, I've seen Chris Paul like make a pass to Devin Booker because he thinks he's cutting, but Devin Booker pulls out because he wants to shoot a 3, and it's a turnover. So it's just like, oh, at least it's preseason, so I'm not worried about it. They'll get to know each other more the more they play with each other.
So let's talk about the draft for a second. We've had probably see, he's smiling already. We've probably had like a great chance getting Book at, what was he, 13th? He was the 13th pick, 13 or 14. And then we take Bender over Jamal Murray, Josh Jackson over Donovan Mitchell, or even Kyle Kuzma. I would have been fine with Kyle Kuzma. De'Aaron Fox is right there. I know Jason Tatum wanted to come here.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to come here anymore.
No, I don't think so
either. When you saw all this stuff happening, like with the decisions Sarver was making and the old GM and just the bad decisions they were making, do you feel like Monty Williams and James Jones was the perfect like start to the right direction for this franchise?
Definitely. Like, if you look at like the team that James Jones inherited from Ryan McDonough to what it is now, it's a whole completely
totally different
new team. So and I'm surprised that like he got it done in 2 years. So it was a quick turnaround from his like Ryan McDonough's mentality of, oh, we want guys that have good potential, with James Jones wanting guys who can contribute now. Like Cam Johnson, he's one of the older guys in that draft, but we took him earlier, and everyone's like, oh, why'd we do that? But because if you look at what James Jones wants, he wants guys, a specific kind of guy, a shooter
that can play defense.
And a guy who knows winning. Like he knows how to win. So it's something that James Jones has done a fantastic job, and I think Monty Williams is the perfect fit to be alongside James Jones and all these guys.
I agree. Is there any guys over probably the last 6 years? I've lived here for 6 years, so I've really been able to see this team go from like, they were like mediocre the first year they're here, but we had the 4 point guard system.
Yeah, it was decent, but
is there any guy you wish they kept or even brought in? Like, let's do like one guy you wish they kept, one guy you wish they brought in.
I mean, surprisingly, I always had a soft spot for Dragan Bender. I know he wasn't. I know. I get that reaction all the time. He wasn't good. I'll be honest with you. He wasn't good, but I always thought he would be pretty good For some reason, I went to the one game, like I went to a game, and it was the one game he actually performed well. It was his career high. He scored like 17 points. He had 5 3-pointers. I was like, this guy's gonna be great. And then I was always hyping him up on my page, and I was like, yeah. I was always getting like,
This is the new Kristaps Porzingis.
yeah, and everyone was like, oh, shut up, he's terrible, and I was just like, eventually they cut him. I was like, okay, yeah, he's terrible.
Where is he even now? Isn't he like in EuroLeague or something?
He last time I saw he was with the Bucks and the Warriors G League teams, and now I don't know this season. So
Oh Lord.
yeah,
What about one guy you wish they? I want to do like either they signed in free agency and they drafted. Of course, we've had like stars
yeah,
pass on. Like we've passed on. I can't even count how many people they passed on.
Yeah, too many. I could go on and on about the draft, but someone like recently that I was really expecting was last season when we got Ricky Rubio. I was fully expecting us to go all in on D'Angelo Russell. I was like, this is perfect. Devin Booker is gonna love this.
Yeah.
I don't know about the defense. We'll worry about the defense later because that back is not gonna defend. But we'll just see how it goes. Just go all in for D'Lo, and we didn't do that. We got Ricky Rubio instead. I was like, seriously, like here we go again, another point guard. But it turned out fine. Now here we are with Chris Paul. So I would rather have Chris Paul than D'Angelo Russell, I think.
I would too. I was thinking they were gonna get D'Lo too, and I thought they were gonna trade the number 1 pick. That turned into Ayton. I thought they're gonna trade the number 1 pick to Minnesota for Cat.
Yeah.
And then go and sign D'Lo or trade for D'Lo and just build Devin Booker's best friends team.
Yeah, I was
sure
excited.
That wasn't the direction.
Excited to see, but
and one guy you hope they signed. Because I know there's like the KDs of the world, the Paul. I don't want to even bring up Paul George, but like superstar wings or point guards. Is there anybody you wish they could have brought in on a max deal?
On a max deal recently?
Let's do like the last 5 years.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, I would have loved Kawhi Leonard. Would have been. I think him and KD are my 2 favorite players in the league that aren't on the Suns. So either one of those guys would have been great. Just because Kawhi would do the opposite. Like he would be a good compliment for Devin Booker, especially defensively, because that's where he thrives. So those guys would have been really nice because I would be so happy to have those guys in Phoenix. Like I said, my favorite players in the league. Those would be the 2.
So we've needed a power forward.
Mm-hmm.
These like when I kept going to games, I would see it was like Book, Tyson Chandler, or Alex Len,
Dragon Bender,
and then it was Archie Goodwin for a couple years. Mike James. Do you remember Mike James? Mike James played for the Suns for like 10 games and balled out, and then they cut him for Isaiah Cannon. Is there one guy that you thought was going to be the face instead of Book?
I mean, I never thought that with Dragon Bender, really. So
did you think like Josh Jackson could have taken
I was thinking DeAndre Ayton, like I know he still has some time to take that step, but I was expecting him, especially last season, to be fantastic. I know he had a suspension and everything, which held him back. But even like in the preseason, I still feel if he was just aggressive and he did, because the things that other bigs do, he would be able to do them better. He just doesn't want to be physical and stuff like that. So if he can do that, I think he could potentially be better than Devin Booker.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, especially on like I listen to 98.7 a lot with Burns and Gambo and all those people. They keep saying they're going to turn DeAndre Ayton to DeAndre Jordan. I think Ayton could be a way better version of DeAndre Jordan.
I think so too.
DJ was just a lob catcher and a rebounder. Ayton has the chance to really kind of spread the floor because he doesn't just – he's a terrible rebounder, in my opinion. He can't rebound the ball for crap. He can't catch the ball. I watched the game last night against the Lakers, and I was just like, dude, you're like 7'2". Grab the freaking ball and go and dunk it. I saw Montrezl Harrell still had his nose rings and earrings in at the beginning of the game,
Yeah, he did.
and Da couldn't even catch a rebound off of him.
I know. It was
But
frustrating.
speaking of Ayton, do you wish that the Suns took Luka,
I mean,
or
at
are
the
you
time,
okay with Ayton?
at the time, like you got to think about it in context because I was like, don't draft Luca. We just drafted Dragon Bender. That was terrible.
That was a European.
Don't draft Luca. Just take DeAndre. He's like he went to college in Arizona. Just
Yeah, he went to high school in
guy.
Arizona too. He went to
Yeah,
Hillcrest
exactly.
Prep.
Just stick with a guy that we know is going to be like we think will be
At
good.
least good.
Yeah, like even if we get the college DeAndre, we'll be okay. We need a center, just take him. But looking back on it now, like obviously Luka's an MVP contender, but we don't know how he would do with Devin Booker because they both.
I don't think they would have done well together.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to think about it like that. I'm just glad we didn't take Marvin Bagley over.
I was going to ask you about Bagley. Did you wish he ended up in Phoenix? Do you wish he ends up in Phoenix at some point? Because he's another kid that went to Corona del Sol.
I mean, I never really like watching him in college. I didn't think he was that good. Then a second overall pick, he still hasn't done a whole lot with the Kings.
He's been injured a lot.
Yeah, which is
I looked back at his track.
It is unlucky.
What about when you look at that draft, especially? You got Ayton, Bagley, Luka, Jaren Jackson, and Trae Young. I think was the top 5.
Yeah, that was the top 5.
Is there any way? Say we had like the 3rd pick, and you had say you did go Ayton and Bagley, and we had the 3rd pick. Who would you have taken if you're the GM? Trae Young, Jaren Jackson, or Luka, not knowing what Luka was going to be?
I would probably
and Trae Young.
I probably would have picked Trae Young.
Really?
If we're being honest, yeah, because we also needed a point guard. We need a point guard and a center, which we still had hope in Dragon Bender. He was still on the team at least. So we didn't really want a power forward. I know Jaren Jackson, he's really good. And then Luka, we didn't know a whole lot about him.
He was kind of the mystery wild card, but a lot of people thought he was going to be good just because of his size.
We had Josh Jackson, we had TJ Warren. So it's like, do we need another wing? I know, but then in that draft, we ended up getting Mikal Bridges anyway.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was in that draft too.
Yeah. So it's kind of just a weird situation if that were to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if we took Trae Young.
Yeah. Speaking of TJ Warren, I thought he was the worst player on the Suns
for
a span of 3 years. Only because every single time I went to a Suns game growing up, he was either injured or he would only put up like 12 points. So I was happy when they traded him to Indiana. I thought they got something for him. It turned out to be like cash.
Yeah, it was just
or he was something like that. Are you mad I think they traded TJ because we had Kelly, and then we traded Kelly and Ricky for CP. Do you wish they kept TJ Warren looking at it, or are you okay with the Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Dario 4 in that wing spot? Or do you wish you had TJ?
I like it better now. I mean, TJ, he only put up points. He literally never passed the ball. That's one thing. It would be a 4-on-1 and he'd just take it up and try and score. Like, he would not pass the ball. Mikal Bridges is a better defender. Cam Johnson's a better shooter. And he didn't defend great. So it's not like we lost a whole lot. And I think we're paying Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges like combined.
Rookie minimums, or something like that.
But it's like combined the same amount as TJ was. So I'd rather have those two than TJ.
So let's get into the free agency let's get into the draft more and the free agency. We draft Jalen Smith. We sign Jay Crowder, Langston Galloway, E'Twaun Moore, and you re-sign Dario Saric.
Yes.
With the draft, do you wish that the Suns took Halliburton, or are you okay with Jalen Smith?
I was fully expecting us to take Halliburton. I had a post.
I was too.
Ready when it like Shams was like 9th pick. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Denny Avdija. I was like, oh
yeah.
Halliburton's coming here. Set up the post and everything, and then it was Jalen Smith. I'm like, who? I'm like, who is this? I honestly don't know anything about him. But looking at it now, he's not He's pretty good. He was kind of under the
Still,
radar, especially for the stats he had and everything like
yeah.
that. So I was really
He,
surprised I didn't hear about him.
I thought they were going to take Obi. I thought the Suns were going to move up and draft Obi. I would have loved that in Phoenix
That
because
would have
it's
been great
another,
too.
especially if you look at the lineup and it's like CP, Devin Booker, Mikal, Obi, and Ayton, and then you got Cam Payne, Javon Carter, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and probably Dario. We probably would have brought back Dario at all. That would have been super fun. But
Yeah.
We bring in Jay Crowder, each one more, Langston Galloway, and you re-sign Dario. Do you wish they brought back Baines, or are you loving the direction of veteran leadership these guys are bringing?
I wasn't expecting us to bring back Baines anyway, so the fact that he left, I was like, okay, that's fine. I wasn't expecting anything, but he could have been decent. I mean, he could have been the backup center and then have Dario play the 4, but I think they would rather have Jalen Smith for cheaper and put him as the backup center / power forward.
How happy were you when we got Jay Crowder?
I was shocked. I was like, wow, Jay Crowder to the Suns, like that's crazy. I wasn't expecting anything like that.
Yeah,
I was expecting just role players and whatnot to fill out the bench.
I really liked Baines. I went to the Laker game last season before COVID, and I think I went to the Thunder too, and the Blazers won the last home games where he shot like 14 threes and made them all. Yeah. I was really hoping he would stay, but of course, something had to have happened with the front office and him, because I guarantee he was asking for like $10 million a year. I don't think he's worth $10 million, but
I mean, I thought he was going to go to the Lakers or the Clippers, so I'm glad that he went to Toronto, just because I was expecting the worst, because if he went to the Lakers, it's just like, seriously, everyone goes to the Lakers. Why do you have to go too? So
yeah,
I'm just happy about that.
Speaking of the Lakers, let's talk about Kobe for a second.
Okay.
Do you, when you heard the news of him passing in January, did it, even as a Suns fan who probably hates the Lakers, I'm assuming, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're my least favorite team.
Were you like heartbroken like everybody else with it, or like when you found out the news, what were you like first thinking of when that happened?
I remember where I was and everything. So I was in my common room in my dorm at the time, and like I got a notification about it. I was like, this
no
is
way.
Like why are they posting this? And then like more and more time went on, like an hour, and then like there was an official report. I was like, oh my gosh. So I told everyone in my dorm, I was like, yo, this happened, and everyone was just like, wow, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I personally, I never liked Kobe Bryant because he was always scoring a lot of points on us, and I didn't like him. Like I'll be honest, but like looking back on it, we didn't like him because he was so good, and he just would score so much against the Suns and would take us out of any final opportunities that we had. So it was a good rivalry us Suns fans had with Kobe Bryant. Did
you ever get to see him play in person?
I unfortunately did not.
That's the one person I wasn't able to see play.
Oh, wow.
I moved down here the year he was on his retirement tour, basically that whole last season. So I never got to go see him play. But do you have a favorite Suns memory that's happened either like the last 5 years? Let's say like since Book came on the team, because there wasn't many memories being made before Devin Booker was on the team.
Well, my favorite memory that recently at least is the that game winner in the bubble by Devin Booker, and just the whole bubble experience, going 8-0 and everything like that, and just Devin Booker draining that game winner on Paul George and Kawhi Leonard at the same time. I was going crazy. That was one of my favorite moments. One of my favorite moments as a Suns fan, even, I would say.
Let's talk about the bubble. I literally watched almost every single game I could find on TV for every single team. I kept watching Suns games, and I'm like, after the first 2 games, I'm like, okay, you beat Washington, and I think they beat Dallas.
Yeah.
Or it was some team like that. I was like, okay, and then they get to like 3-0, 4-0. The Suns keep posting DeAndre Ayton dancing
Yeah.
for some reason. And I'm just like, this team really could go 8-0. I was shopping and I turned on the radio and it was who's the old guy that does broadcast for the Suns?
Kevin Ray?
No,
The radio guy. Oh, what's his name?
yeah.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So all I hear is him say like, Book puts up a shot and it goes, and everyone starts freaking out. I'm like, did they? And they say they just beat the Clippers. I was like, they're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they're gonna shock a lot of people. Did you think they were gonna make the playoffs?
Well, I didn't going into the bubble. I was like, I don't even know where we're coming. We're 6 games behind. Like, there's like no chance that we even if we go 8-0, there's like a 30% chance we make it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way we're going 8-0. But then we went 8-0, and it was the Nets against, I think it was
the Blazers.
Yeah. And I was watching that game, and it was
I was too.
Last possession, Karis LeVert. I'm like, oh, please, you've been carrying. And like, they wanted to win that game. They wanted to.
Yeah, I know.
And he puts up the shot and he missed it. I was just heartbroken.
Yeah.
I was like, we were so close. We went.
My girlfriend and I were watching it, and I'm like, please. I used to love Brooklyn when they came out because I love Darren Williams and Joe Johnson. Those are like 2 of my favorite players. So I have no love for Brooklyn anymore besides KD. But I was watching, like, please, Karis, just sick and tired of Damian Lillard hitting these 60-foot shots from half court and not get it. Like, I just, please, let the Suns. Because I thought the Suns were better than the Grizzlies. I still, to this day, think they would have beat the Grizzlies twice.
I agree. Like, we still would have lost to the eventual champion, which is fine. But we would have been.
At least you get some experience.
Yeah, we would have been in the playoffs, which would have been awesome to watch. I always said that I don't care where I'm at, I'm going to the first playoff game. No matter what. And then if it was in the bubble, I'd be like, well, I can't go to that.
They can't do that. Let's talk playoffs. Do you think they will make the playoffs this year?
I do. I think like 80% chance I would give us of making the playoffs. I don't see how we would miss the playoffs with the team we have. I know the West, every team has pretty much gotten better except for the Thunder.
And the Kings.
Back into it. Kings, yeah, I mean. So the teams will definitely finish above are the Thunder, the Kings. I think we'll finish above the Timberwolves.
I agree.
I think we'll finish above the Pelicans.
Yeah.
I think we'll finish above the Spurs as well. And then from there, that's where it's pretty much up in the air. I don't know what the other team that could miss the playoffs is. I mean, it could be the Warriors. I don't know. It's going to be tough, but I think we'll be fine.
So I was going to play a game with you. It's called Who Are We Better Than? So let me pull up the West standings because you just started talking about hold on, let me get the standings up. I just want to get the Western standings. I'm not going to do the East because
I can't think of all the Western Conference teams off the top of my head, but
so I really do think they could be a top 4 team in the West.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think.
But Chris Paul, my dad and I were talking about it last night, and he was like, the number one thing they have to do is keep their guys healthy, especially with Chris Paul. I don't know what year Chris Paul's in. I think they said 15.
I think he's 35, so something.
It's late. So I'm like, there's always a time where one of these guys like pulls a hamstring and he's out for 6 weeks and then just goes down the tank. But I really do think you guys should be better than the Clippers. But let's start in I need the divisions. Oh crap, is there no divisions? Okay, never mind. Let's just do this. Dallas. Do you think you're better or worse than Dallas?
I think we're pretty equal. I mean,
I would agree.
If I had to pick better or worse, I'm gonna get hate, but I think we're worse than the Dallas Mavericks.
You really think like if rosters both set up? It's like Chris, Luka, Hardaway, Book, Josh Richardson, Bridges, Porzingis, Jay Crowder, and like Maxi Kleber and DeAndre Ayton.
I mean, and we do have a better bench, I think. And if you think about we win 3-2 of the starting lineup matchups.
Well, we'll see on December 23rd who's going to be better, because that's the opening night.
Opening night, but I think they finish above us in the standings.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Okay, the next one is the Lakers, and you can't be biased just because
we're going below the Lakers.
Look at what they did. Are they going to repeat?
I hope not. But they're set up better than they were last year. I feel they have a better team than they do last year.
Yeah, so I've been trying to get Aaron Cohen, who runs Lakers All Day Every Day, on this too, and he just posts so much about everything and how they're going to repeat. I think they're going to repeat. I really do, just because. Like, I even looked at the East. I'm like, there's not. Milwaukee chokes.
Yeah, I know. Giannis can't shoot.
And he signed for $230 million. So you signed a guy for $230 million that can't shoot a basket.
Like the Heat, and they lost. So I mean, how is that gonna work? But
next up is New Orleans.
We're better than New Orleans.
Better than New Orleans. Even with Steven Adams.
Yeah, I mean, none of those guys can shoot. I feel.
Do you think Zion is going to be a bust or I'm going to say bust or a baller? Is he going to be like? Do you think he's going to be what everyone keeps talking about?
Like, because I mean, he's played barely anything, and he's averaging like 20 points a game though. So it's like if he can play, then he's going to be a baller. But if not, he's going to be a bust.
My grandpa talked about him the other day, and I'm like, he's not like chubby. Like all of that, like what's on his body is muscle.
I don't know how he's getting injured though, because he's pure muscle. What's hurting him? I don't want to see what's hurting him.
Yeah, I don't either. Next up is Utah.
I know we lost.
I absolutely hate Utah.
So do I. I know we lost both the games to Utah, but I think we finished above them.
I agree too. Memphis.
We're better than Memphis as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Ja's so good. I really hope we could have drafted. I wish we could have drafted him, but we fell to the 6th pick instead of like the lottery. We were projected to have a top 4 pick, and then we got
that was that the year the lottery became like something totally different, and then all of it got mixed up, and the Knicks were supposed to be pick number 1 again, and then New Orleans got it.
Yeah.
Let's just breeze past this because this is an easy one. Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah.
Even the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be better than Oklahoma this year. Houston.
I think we'll be better than Houston, actually, now that I forgot about them. And I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, they still have Westbrook and Harden. But I'm like, wait.
Westbrook's gone.
And Harden doesn't want to play basketball anymore. So.
I don't know where he goes. I really don't. There's no team that is going to be a suitor for him besides Houston.
Yeah, I know. Unless like Houston takes an offer from the Nets that doesn't include Kyrie or KD, which I don't think they'll do. So I think
would.
Yeah, I know.
I would literally give the farm for Harden if I was Houston.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're going to get Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, probably Jared Allen too.
Yeah, I know. Like, that's good.
I mean, in probably 4 first-round picks, Brooklyn could be garbage in 3 years when all these picks are eligible after KD retires, Kyrie retires, Harden's just Harden.
And I mean, I'm excited to see John Wall play, though.
I am too. I think him and Boogie are going to be the scary deal. But I don't know if they make the playoffs, even with this new. I don't know if you know, they're doing the 7-10 play-in thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think the Suns could be 5th or 6th in the West.
Yeah.
But next up is Sacramento. I think you guys are going to be better than Sacramento.
I agree. Yeah.
The Kings haven't been good since.
Yeah. They're worse than us, and that's saying something.
Yeah, exactly. Denver.
I think Denver will be better than us. I mean, they finished really well last season. They did well in the playoffs. I think they'll finish ahead of us.
With Bol as their backup center, you think?
Yeah, Bol's a baller.
I wish Phoenix took Bol. Yeah, I think that would have been so much fun to have Bol come off the bench.
Me too. So right now I've said the Lakers will be better than us, Mavericks maybe, and the Nuggets.
Yeah, I'm going to write these down.
So that puts us at the 4th seed currently, which And then we still got some teams.
Yeah, we got a few more. Let me write these down real quick. So far, better than we've said the Kings, Pelicans, the Jazz, OKC, the Grizzlies, and the Rockets.
Well,
And then worse than you said the Nuggets, the Lakers, and the Mavs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's right. Next up is Golden State on the ESPN list. I'm just reading like the preseason standings, so I'm going by that. Next up is Golden State.
I think so. I mean, they're still going to be good. I think they'll make the playoffs, at least be a top 10 seed. But I don't know how much Steph Curry can carry, as you will. He's gonna have to.
So I got 2 questions for you about Golden State. Were you sad for Clay when the news came out that he tore his Achilles?
Yeah. I was like, because I wanted them to beat the Raptors. I like Klay Thompson, especially, and I
do too.
So when I saw both of them go down in the same series, I was like, seriously, this sucks. Of course the Raptors are gonna win.
Yeah. And next question: were you pissed off that Kelly Oubre landed up on Golden State? Because that's one team I didn't want him.
Really, I was actually happy for him. I was like, he's gonna have an opportunity because his contract is expiring. He's gonna want a lot of money, so he's gonna go somewhere where he can at least play a lot and contend for the playoffs. So it's not like it's gonna be garbage minutes for him.
I was pissed because I'm like, they're gonna turn him into like a 3-point specialist. And he's already athletic as hell, and he can jump out the gym. He's like the young Draymond Green with all the energy he brings.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was like, they're gonna be a top 5 seed if they can get it all together. I really don't think they'll be that good. I think they might even get dropped out of the playoffs.
James Wiseman is how well James Wiseman's gonna do,
and if their guys can stay healthy, because their bench really isn't that good.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is just their starting 5 and like 1 or 2 guys off their bench.
Exactly.
But I'm like, if Steph goes down with another injury that has him out for a month, they'll drop immediately.
Yeah.
Next up is Portland.
I hate Portland, so I'm gonna say that.
Did you like what they did for the offseason, bringing in like Covington, Harry Giles?
I think it was good moves because they weren't very strong on the wing, so Robert Covington's a good fit, and then Harry Giles was another good fit for them. So I think
they got Derek Jones too, a little bit more athleticism with Gary Trent.
A lot of teams made a lot of good moves, so
I know. That's why I'm like, okay, the Suns have made great moves.
Yeah,
but a team like Portland will make a mediocre move, and it'll somehow she'll have like 18 off the bench, and it'll be that.
The thing is like when teams that already made the playoffs get better, we have to get even better than that.
Exactly. Next up is San Antonio.
Yeah, we'll be better than San Antonio. They didn't make the playoffs last season. We were better than San Antonio last season. They didn't get anyone that I know of, any big name, and we got better.
Do you think they're about to fall off the edge? Like they've been on a dominant run for like over my lifetime. I'm only 19, and they've been good every single year I've been alive.
Yeah, it's time for them. Just rebuild, man. Just get rid of LaMarcus Aldridge. Get rid of DeRozan. Just tank. It's about time.
Well, I think Pop is going to retire.
Yeah.
I think he should retire. He's like, after this year.
He should have retired after this season.
There's nothing really for him anymore.
They're not going to make the playoffs this season.
Now I'm wondering who's going to take over for him. Because that, I feel like, is like the job of jobs if you're wanting to take over a team is San Antonio.
Yeah, I think.
With how much dominance they've had and the consistency.
I think it might actually be Becky Hammond, I think her name is. She's the assistant there. I think she'll be like the first NBA head coach. Female
woman?
NBA head coach, yeah.
That would be really interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Next one is Minnesota. We talked about you saying you better than – I agree. I think they're going to be the worst team in the league.
Really?
I think Kat and D'Lo are awesome for each other, but their coach is like
Yeah.
Really young. Anthony Edwards isn't what
He could be
everyone
a boss.
talks about him. He could be, but it sounds like he has commitment issues
Yeah, exactly.
from what everyone's been talking about. And I mean, you bring in Ricky back, that was smart to have like he's kind of like a hometown kid, even though he's
Yeah.
from Spain.
Just
He
to bring fans
basically,
back whenever
yeah.
fans come back.
But there's something about them that I just don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be great.
And the last team is the Clippers.
And I know you said we'll finish above the Clippers, but I don't think so.
I think so. Here's why. The Clippers, to me, I even talked about it on my podcast in the bubble. I said the Mavericks are going to beat the Clippers in the first round. I really, truly thought after watching Game 5 and Luka hit that shot, I was like, there's no way they're losing this. And of course, then Porzingis comes and he's got like a torn meniscus or something. I truly think if Porzingis stayed healthy, the Mavericks would have beat the Clippers, and crap would have went everywhere.
Yeah.
Because all year long, you probably heard it too. All year long, the Clippers are this, that.
I wanted
so
them
good.
against the Lakers. Everyone was hoping for that.
I absolutely despise Patrick Beverley.
Really, I wanted them to come to the Suns. I sent them a DM like 2 years ago. I was like,
please come to Phoenix.
I was like, if you come to Phoenix, I get your first interview. He's like, okay, sure. And then it never happened. So I was like, okay.
he's just a guy. I think he's a great like NBA player. Because he pisses people off all the time. He's really good at his job. I just like he's not as good as he thinks he is. And he carries them. And all year they carried themselves like they were 6-time champs.
Yeah.
No, they've never lost in their life. And you probably saw all the reports came out that like every team flight was late because Kawhi lived like 2.5 hours away from the airport.
They got special treatment, all this,
So I think if they like actually treat him like a real player and not like this, which Kawhi is great. I think he's a really good basketball player. He's not worth all the things they let him do.
No. Same with James Harden. I mean, they let him go do whatever on his off day.
Exactly. But is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here? You want to shout out your Instagram, any upcoming things you have going on in the future?
Nope. I'm just working on more interviews with Suns organization people. I've had a few, but I'm working on some more. I don't know who else to get. I've tried some players. They don't answer, but.
Do you know any players at all from the franchise?
I know Mikal Bridges. I interviewed him. I played Call of Duty with him, stuff like that. But I don't know them personally or anything.
Yeah. Well, bro, thanks for doing this. I'll have to have you on again when the season gets going.
Yeah, sounds good. Whenever. I'm happy to do that. I like talking about the Suns, so whenever.
All right. Thanks, bro.
All right.